Howdy, folks. How are we today? How's the sound? Can you hear me? And what has everyone been doing today as well? Lister Rimsey, life tip, don't eat leftover Rice Krispies several hours later. It's like bad rice pudding. It does sound bad. I'll tell you a food hack I tried that I regretted. Apparently, if you boil crisps, they go back to a potatoey texture. They go back to a potatoey flavour, but not a potatoey texture. Because I wanted some mashed potato, but I had no money. But I had lots of crisps. So I boiled some crisps, and like, yeah, it tastes like mashed potato, but like the texture was vomit. It was gross. So don't try that. Hi Joje. Hi Cameron. Hi Listy. Hi Computer Guy. Hi Mr. Browerly. Cameron says the sound is good. My show, I went on a road trip. Oh, where did you go? I love road trips. I really do. One of the reasons I would actually get a car is just to go on road trips. Howdy, Nick. Sounds fine. Cameron, I've been watching Malcolm in the Middle for the first time. It's so 2000, but in a good way. It's a very 2000 show. I've not watched it in a while, but it was a huge part of my teen years. Like, I was obsessed with Malcolm as a teenager. Evan, I've been doing nothing. That's fine. It's cool to do nothing all day. Mr. Broly, ever watched The Big Lebowski? No, and I want to. I really do want to. I love Jeff Bridges, and the concept seems really fun. My show. I went to San Jose and got to drive. Nice. Hope the views were awesome. Listen, Rimsey, I really miss driving. Nothing like cruising along and scaring. I don't know what you meant by scaring. Sorry. It makes you sound like a monster. I just imagine you in the car going, I'd like a bit of context for the scaring. Cooper dude, arresting my voice. I'm in a production of SpongeBob the Musical playing Patrick. Nice. Evan, although I watched and reviewed the Tom Morrow War yesterday. Awesome. Kirst, my weird food hack is pouring Cholula sauce on Jacob's crackers. I don't know what that sauce is, and I'm sorry if I butchered the pronunciation. Jojo, I stayed home because my school was going on a trip and don't do well with school trips. It's okay to not go to a school trip if you don't feel up to it. I remember I was okay with school trips, but I get what you mean. They can be quite draining, especially if you don't get along with your classmates. Literally, and scaring locals with your bad music taste. Okay, now I know the context. But now I'm disappointed that you weren't literally roaring out of your car. That's such a great image. Miss Burley, are you gonna watch Monsters at Work? I am. I'm good friends with the director of the show, so I definitely want to support him. And I am curious where the story goes. It'd be interesting to see what's next. Steve's been like sharing previews and like art for it. I'm like, ooh, I like the sound of this. So yeah, I'm on board for it. Lisa Rimsey, if my sentence ever makes sense, assume my stupid keyboard cut me off. Bless you. Give me guys, sorry, I'm on another live at the same time, but it's about to end. That's talent. Multitasking, watching live streams is quite a talent. Do you have the sound for both of them on at the same time, so it's me talking and someone else talking? Nick, I recently watched Jaws for the first time a few days ago. Ooh, did you enjoy it? I love Jaws. Jaws is a classic. Lister Rimsey, I did roar out the window technically by singing badly. I remember when I moved houses once, I had to go back and forth to do the moving, and to make it more fun, I asked my friend who was driving, to just keep playing Everything is Awesome from Lego Movie. That's all I did for the whole thing. And then we put the windows down and just blared Everything is Awesome while going through Sheffield. Miss Broiler, how do you feel about a movie where Tom Hiddleston voices a dog? That could work. Tom's cute. Kirst, as a scare actor myself, I'm always encouraged not to say roar or boo. Nick, I also multitask all the time with multiple streams, and yes, Jaws was great. How do you multitask with streams? I'm genuinely curious. Evan, who is the director of Monsters' work? It's Steve Anderson, the guy that worked on Meet the Robinsons and the Winnie the Pooh 2011 reboot. Miss Broiler, what's your favourite Illumination movie? I don't know. Oh no, Despicable Me. The first Despicable Me, definitely. Absolutely. That's the strongest one. Evan, I also saw The Shining 2 days ago. Nice. My favourite horror film. Awesome. Nathan Gonu, who is your favourite Family Guy character? Trying to think, because I'm only going to base this off of the early seasons, because after like season 4 or 5 it turns to trash. Who did I enjoy the most? Dang, I can't even remember. I actually don't think I've got a favourite Family Guy character, sorry. Okay, so, in this stream, I'm going to be counting down my top 5 favourite Pixar villains. Okay? Bear with me. Oh, someone's explaining how you do multitask streams. Nick, when you follow more than one Twitch account and they're simultaneous live, you have them open in separate tabs. I definitely get that, but I'm just wondering, what do you do about sound? Doesn't the sound conflict between both streams? That's why I don't think I could watch 2 streams unless one stream was more visual. I just can imagine the sound. Cameron, I remember when I was in Scotland, I showed my uncle the Team America soundtrack. We played the song America F yeah. My uncle just replied, "What the F is this? It should be Scotland F yeah." Okay, right. Let's get the ball rolling, and I'm gonna count down my top 5 favorite Pixar films. So, number 5 is Lotso from Toy Story 3. The appeal of Lotso to me is the fact that he has this cuddly appearance and charming southern drawl, but behind his kindly act is a teddy bear with a power complex. To overcome his abandonment trauma, he now uses his dictatorship status to have full control of his life, even if that means making sacrifices or taking away other toys' freedoms. His biggest fear is losing a sense of security and comfort all over again. And it's this anxiety that has pushed him into becoming a tyrant of the daycare. Some have argued that Lotso is just a Stinky Pete clone, and while the similarities are there, there's still plenty of differences that set them apart. I can see why folks like to compare them. I just wouldn't go as far as calling Lotso a clone, because Lotso's more of like a dictator, and Stinky is more of like a cult leader. So yeah, what does everyone think of Lotso? Don't worry about it, computer guy. Oh, so Nick says the sound depends on which one's more important. Turn down the less important one in chat and the one you're in, then switch the other. I don't think I could ever do that, I'm afraid. I can multitask things. I can multitask like creative things, but not watching things. Mr. Pearl says RIP Ned Beatty. Yeah, bless him. Bless him. So yeah, anyone got any thoughts on Lotso? Cameron, oh yeah, Lotso is a great villain. The movie makes you feel sad for him, but at the same time, without spoilers, what he did to the toys at the end. You can spoil, just a heads up for everyone, there's going to be spoilers anyway. I'll end up making spoilers, people are channeling in and making spoilers, so yeah, heads up spoilers for all Pixar films, really, when you think about it. Computer Guy, very solid Toy Story villain, and one that is very easy to really hate. Definitely. You do develop quite a grudge to him as an audience member. It's like, yeah. It's just so fake. And I hate fakeness. Lister Rooms, Lotso seems based on the early evil draft of Woody, or is that just me? I don't know. Evan, I always thought Lotso turned evil because of his backstory, not his insecurities. Well, his backstory creates insecurities. Your trauma can be the reason for your self-consciousness. Where am I in chat? Cameron, when Lotso just leaves the toys to burn in the fire, yeah. He had an opportunity. He had an opportunity to be given mercy, and he just threw it out the window. Miss Lotso was going to be in Toy Story 1. Ooh, interesting. Cool guy, especially for that part. Where's your kid now, Sheriff? Ooh, yeah. Kirst, listening to Nebedia's voice as Lotso, he sounds so creepy when that soft-spoken southern drawl is used in a villainous context. Yes, they really know how to how to balance between like the gentle, like cuddly sounding Lotso and the sinister Lotso so well. And the thing is, when you first see him, you don't jump right away into thinking, yeah, that's the villain. Where am I in the chat now? Nick, Lotso is the most evil character in the franchise. He legit scared the crap out of me when I watched the movie for the first time in theaters. Him being what's called a twist villain works because not only are you surprised, but it's also believable for him to put on this fake act to bait other toys into the daycare. However, I think he got way off too easy at the end of the movie. Kinda technically, though, I mean, like, his punishment's pretty humiliating, to be fair. Dude, probably my favourite personal Pixar villain, a cruel warden who will do anything to get his way, also an ideology of turning evil because of one bad day. Yeah, that's a good point. Jojo, his owner replaced him when she forgot her toys at a park, and keep in mind, she only replaced him, not Big Baby, not Chuckles, but only him. Yes, yeah, and he manipulates the situation to being about him, because he's pretty much a narcissist at the end of the day. But Cameron... Also, it shows, don't judge people from their look, for example. Lotso looks like a cute teddy bear, and the creepy Spide from Toy Story 1 looks creepy, but helps Woody save Buzz. Yes. Yeah, definitely. That's a really good comparison. Yeah, I like that. Evan, did you know that Sunnyside Daycare under Lotso was based off of real-life dictatorships? Yeah, I buy that. I totally buy that. As someone that has heavily studied the North Korean regime and the Kim Dynasty, I can see that. Nick, I'd suggest saving who your favourite Pixar villain is until I've finished. That's what we usually do. Mr. Brown, lots of backstories inspired by a real-life event where the director's young relative left a toy to Burger King. Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot. That's kind of cool. I like it when filmmakers do that. It reminds me of how Spirited Away is based on a little girl that Miyazaki met. So yeah, I like that kind of real life influence. It adds a bit of organic realism to the character and to their world. Nick, he's not my favorite Pixar villain. He's just my favorite in Toy Story. I think you're talking about something else. Okay, so I think we've pretty much covered everything you can really say about Lotso. So let's now move on to my number 4 choice. It is Randall from Monsters, Inc. I've come to appreciate Randall as a villain, and how his character plays into Monsters, Inc. On the surface, he's just an annoying co-worker with a big ego and a competitive streak, but when you really dive into his villain role, he's quite terrifying. I mean, think about it. Imagine this creepy reptilian creature sneaking into kids' rooms, kidnapping them into his world, and traumatizing them with his scream extraction machine. All because he wants to impress the big wigs with his invention and feel more secure about his career success. Not only does Randall have a personal hero-villain rivalry with Sully, the main character, because they're always fighting for the #1 scarer spot, but he's also Sully's ultimate foe. Sully's best attributes are his size and strength, but Randall can outmatch him with his agile speed and sneaky camouflage powers. He really is an expertly written villain, I think. I applaud Pixar for pushing how scary they can make him to kids. So yeah, what does everyone think of Randall? Good guy. Randall is a very entertaining villain, and his animation was very impressive back in the day. It was, yeah, revisiting his scenes. I really liked how they pulled him off, especially the way that he kind of like slimes around. Like he'll camouflage, but then he'll move somewhere else and camouflage something else, or then he'll just show himself and pop up. And I think that's most effective when he's fighting Sully as well. He really takes advantage of that power. Lisa Ramsey, F yeah, Randall. Does someone at Disney have a bad history with a Randall? Because the Snitch and Recess was called that, and has a lot of similar traits with this version. I don't know, Randall just sounds like that it kind of fits. It fits those characters. Mr. Brown, Steve Buscemi only voiced him because John Goodman nominated him as a voice. Yeah, I can see that. I can imagine anyone. I can imagine anyone, if John Goodman says, hey, do that, I'll be like, yeah, okay, John Goodman said it. He just seems like a really lovely guy. Evan, I really love Randall and his flamboyant energy. Miss Broiler, also based on a line in University, I think Steve Buscemi can do an Australian accent. He probably can. He's very, very talented. Joji, I did a drawing of Randall. Awesome. Interesting. Cameron, I need to re-watch Monsters Inc. and Monsters University for the new series, so I can't remember. That's a good plan, actually. Have like a marathon, and maybe like time the first two movies before Monsters at Work premieres. Nick, Randall's a perfect example of the kind of villain that you love to hate. He's so slimy and narcissistic, but at the same time, there's a charming, snarky behaviour under all that immoral things he's doing, and he's still very intimidating since he can blend in with literally anything. And Steve Buscemi was easily perfect casting. Yeah, that's the thing. I can't imagine anyone else voicing him. I honestly can't. Steve is just so good at that nasally, slimy kind of voice. He really is. Evan, when I was a child, I would reenact the scene where Randall manipulates Mike with my dad using a toy snake. Oh, that's really cute. Kubadoo, say what you want about Monster University, but I love how it showed why Randall wants to one-up Sully. Yeah, I love Monster University, by the way. I do like learning the slow decline of like Randall the nerd to Randall the villain. I really like that. I like seeing how that panned out, how that happened. Miss Burley, Randall won't be in Monsters at Work. I pretty much guessed that. I've seen his he's trapped in, I think he's trapped in Australia or something. Lish Ramsey, yeah, he's just trying to do a good job too. I'd be miffed if I kept getting pipped at the post the way he does. He's a generally good scarer. Yeah, but I get what you mean. I do sympathise with him at the beginning, but then once he decides to go down that path, he can like, right, I don't feel sorry for him anymore when you're making machines to such kid screams out. I'm like, okay, you're done. But yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, there's it's especially when you're in any kind of job, it can be frustrating when you're just doing the best you can, and there's a co-worker who's like always one above you. Computer guy. Also, weird thing to say, but I really like his name, Randall. I like all names in this film for some reason, probably because they're very common names. They are, and I think it's an attempt to like normalize and humanize all these monsters, because that's what they're trying to do, is like have monsters in a human kind of world, but with monster attributes. Where am I in chat now? Miss Bro, Mads Mikkelsen voiced Randall in an alternate language dub of Monsters Inc. Oh, I can imagine that. That could work. G. Crowbat, I came in late. Who was number 5? Number 5 was Lotso. Cameron Blythe, there's a gator in the house. A gator gave me the shovel. Yeah, so he was trapped in the swamp. Cameron says the stream has stopped. I don't know what you mean, sorry. Like, my signal is fine. Is it stopped for everyone else? Let me know. I don't know why it would stop. I'd be really annoyed if it has stopped. So it might just be... It's a bit fuzzy on your end. Again, there's not much I can do. Yeah, so it's not for everyone. I'm afraid there's nothing I can really do. Once the stream starts, that's it. It doesn't let me change any settings. I'm very sorry. Where was I on chat now? Okay, so... Right. Anything else to add for Randall, anyone? Anything you want to throw in about Randall? Oh, camera, it was your internet. Ah, okay. I would be annoyed if like that had happened, because I spent all of this morning talking to my internet providers, trying to work out what was going on, trying to fix it. Lissy Rimsey, Buscemi is my weird crush. I get it. No, I get it. Definitely with the eyes as well. He has very attractive eyes. He really does. Yeah, I get it. He's a bit of a silver fox, but at the same time, I'm attracted to very unique looking people, so... Okay. Again, anything else someone wants to add about Randall before I move on? I think everyone's just talking about Steve Buscemi now in chat. Which I won't complain about because I love him. Yeah, everyone's just talking about Steve now. That's fine, but I'm gonna move on to my number 3 now. So, who is my number 3 for top 5 Pixar villains? It is Stinky Pete from Toy Story 2. Stinky Pete is a villain who charms Woody and the audience with his grandfatherly gentleness. He's a soft-spoken prospector, who seems to be a caring gentleman, but once the cat is out of the bag, is revealed to be an aggressive villain who is harboring deep resent and angry emotions, all brought on by the fact that he's just been trapped in this closet for who knows how long. What I like about him the most is how nuanced his good guy act really is. Most villains either struggle to fake being nice or let the audience in on the real intentions too early, but Stinky Pete is really committed all the way. He knows how to guilt Woody while seeming well-meaning and selfless, plus takes complete advantage of the fact that he's known to never leave his box. He's a clever villain, he really is. Stinky Pete's motivation is also quite dark when you really think about it too. He's a relic of his time who's been forced into darkness for many years and has let a personal grudge towards changing trends in the toy industry turn him bitter. His resolution for this is to become an attraction display for children to admire. He'll happily give up his freedom for immortal preservation, just to not feel forgotten. Even if it means throwing Jessie, Woody, and Bullseye into glass frames too. That's really creepy to me. When you really narrow that down, that is kind of terrifying when you think about it for a children's movie villain. The film is already exploring Woody's own anxieties over abandonment, so showing the villain that Woody could become through Stinky Pete is a great way to make the sequel's central themes of fear and mortality tied together. So yeah, what does everyone think of Stinky Pete? Keep it guy, he's the best Toy Story villain. He really is. I definitely agree. Keep it guy, he was the first twist villain I experienced. Probably was for most people, really. I think that was like the early days for twist villains. Keep it guy, the way you say it, I'm pretty sure there's a metaphor in there. The most likely is. That's why Toy Story 2 is my favorite Pixar film, because it has so many philosophical allegories and just really, really deep, complex themes and all these layers. I just love it so much. I really attach myself to Toy Story 2 because it just goes to some places that my brain goes to sometimes. But why am I in chat? I always forget why I'm in chat. Miss Burley, Frasier with a pickaxe or Sasha Bob, either way. Cameron, even though he is a villain, I love the scene where he's talking to Woody about Andy growing up leading up to Toy Story 3. Yeah, that's another reason I like Stinky Pete, is that he can work both ways, because like what he's saying, there's an essence of truth there. It's just that he's going about things completely the wrong way. But Evan, maybe Stinky Pete is what Jessie could become if she went down a darker path. Same as well, because Jessie could have become like Stinky Pete after Toy Story 2, because they especially with Toy Story of Terror, where they bring back the trauma of her fear of like closed dark spaces. She could have gone that way. She really could have gone that way, and that's what's testament to how strong her character is compared to Stinky Pete. G. Crobat, I've been spoiled that he was a villain because of the Toy Story 2 game. Oh, bless. Listen, I don't think his ending was so bad. Sure, he's going to get scribbled for years by a kid, but he gets to hang out with Barbie. Yeah, that's a positive way of looking at it. I already he's my favorite villain from Toy Story. Once again, he's a believable twist villain because it makes sense for him to pretend to be friendly to fool Woody and the others because of how determined he is to go to the museum. Exactly. And also another part of why he's my favorite Toy Story villain is because Toy Story 2 is my favorite chapter in the series. Yes, another Toy Story 2 fan. Lissy Rimsey, keypad. Alright, your keyboard's screwing you over. I suggest getting a cheap keyboard and like plastic to cover it. That's what I've done recently. That's why it's gonna definitely make things a lot easier. Cameron, sorry if this question's been asked before, but have you seen Toy Story 4? Unnecessary, but I like it. I've seen Toy Story 4, but I'm not ready to really divulge my opinions because I don't know my opinions and I need to go back to it. I've not watched it since, again, I've not rewatched it since I saw it in cinemas. I will eventually do a video on it one day when I'm ready. Nick, and at the same time, he's not wrong about Andy growing up. I love the scene where he's talking to Woody about that. Listy, yeah, it's what makes him a good villain, because he's sort of right. Yes, I've only recently come to realize how it's okay for a villain to have like an aspect of truth to what they say and what they believe, because it adds something, it adds some realism to the motivation. Charm, I'm not going to be answering that question because it's irrelevant to chat. He was neglected because most kids wouldn't like to have old man for their toy. True, but at the same time, I think he would have been popular during the Buddies Roundup days. Back then, I think kids had very different ideas for what they considered to be a cool toy. So I think he would have, back in his day, been quite popular. Which definitely adds to his character as well, because he's tasted what it was like to be the trending toy, and that was snatched away from him. I like that. Computer guy, I still have a mechanical keyboard, and those are really the best, just a tad too sensitive sometimes. Oh, I've never heard of a mechanical keyboard. It makes it sound like a steampunk keyboard. I would love that. Trying to find where people are talking next in chat. Cameron, Toy Story 2 or Toy Story 3 is my favourite. Everyone's just talking about their favourite Toy Story films now. Okay, so anything else people want to add about Stinky Pete before I reveal my number one? Give you a chance to chime in. Chip in your own opinion, if you like. That's what I like about these top fives, is that it makes it more interactive. Computer guy, mechanical keyboards are the kind of keyboards with springs that goes click when you press on the keys. I love that sound. I like it, but at the same time, I'm liking the fact that my keyboard is covered in plastic and cannot be harmed. I like that. Cameron, one more thing about Pete. He is stinky. Yes, he is. I'm guessing no one else has got something to say about Stinky Pete's. Anything at all? I want to give people a chance to speak up. Miss Bro, that one scene in the credits with the Barbies was cut out. Yes, it was, and I can see why. It's not aged very well. Yeah. At first, when I heard that, like, a scene was cut from the credits, I was like, well, hang on, which one was it? I rewatched it, was like, oh, yeah, ooh. Can see why that's definitely outdated. Charm, I don't do best and worst videos anymore, and I don't really tend to take requests in stream, sorry. So let's move on to my number one. Yeah, computer guy, yeah, the scene, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, let's move on to my number one. Oh, number two, sorry. My number two. Wow. It's hot, okay? Brain go fry. Okay. So, my number two. I can't count. My number two favorite Pixar villain is Otto. Yes. Otto really deserves way more credit as an animated villain. Yes, they've not got a colourful, campy personality, and there's no flashy presentation in Otto's design, but that's what makes him so them so unique. Unlike every other Pixar villain, Auto is 100% machine. A cold, soulless robot who only follows its own programming. You can't reason with them or convince them to change their heart, because there's nothing there to reach. Auto is the dark side of AI technology, the antithesis of Wall-E and Eve. And the kind of character you'd usually find in a sci-fi horror, not a kid's movie. So I applaud Pixar for taking that chance. Again, it's like Randall. They're willing to give us some really scary villains sometimes. I also love how Pixar took the design of HAL from 2001 Space Odyssey and pushed it even further by giving Auto more physical control. Not only does Auto have the power to control a ship that holds the last of humanity, but they also have the freedom to fight anyone who goes up against their programming commands. So, what does everyone think of Auto? Rosette, best example of the fear of AI malfunctioning. Yes, I personally do have a fascination with broken technology. I've always have. And if you've seen or heard any of my original, or even read some of my original products, they usually tap into that concept. It's always frightening me, the idea that some form of technology is so outdated or out of human control that it's dangerous and goes against what it was originally designed to do. That's frightening to me. Good guy. Otto is a creepy villain, clearly inspired by HAL 9000, and this villain too gives me the creeps. Yeah, he's creepy. G-Crobat must follow my orders. Good dude, me and the number 2 don't get along. Rosette. Oh, I've read that. Cameron. I need to watch Wall-E. Again, it's been years. I recommend it. It's one of my favorite Pixar films. Cameron. Oh, I just read that. Good guy. Otto is basically the old humanity's remains on Axiom. Evan J. Sims, I thought Otto was your number 1. You said so in your Patreon Q&A. You've got to remember, Evan, that opinions can change. Opinions can change. Okay? So, yeah, there's no need to get upset. I'm not always... Just because my choice is going to be different now doesn't mean that I'm being inconsistent. It's just time's moved on. And I'm reevaluating things I've watched. Crobat. Auto is the only Pixar villain to kill a protagonist. Ooh. I didn't think about that. Who does Auto kill? Remind me. Miss Broly, I thought Shelby Forthright would be the bad guy before the movie came out. I found out Auto was the bad guy by reading the Wikipedia when the whole story was written on it the day Wall-E was released. Kubadude, Auto is like a combination of HAL 9000 and GLaDOS from Portal. He is, yeah. That's a good comparison. So yeah, any other thoughts on Auto? Oh, so we killed Wall-E, but he brought him back. Oh yes, you reminded me now. Yes, in the finale, yeah. Nick, Auto is one of the creepiest villains I've ever seen. His voice is unsettling because it's a Mac and talk. It's like there's no humanity whatsoever. It's literally a machine. Plus, by the way, Mac and talk has their own IMDb page. You can literally see like an IMDb page for all the stuff that Mac and talk's being used for. His voice is very unsettling, there's little emotion in him, and he can't be reasoned with because he was literally programmed to carry out what he was designed for. I'd argue he's actually more dangerous than HAL, since he can actually move around and do physical harm, unlike HAL, who's just a circle on a wall. Yes, that's what I was saying early on, he's got more physical control. Evan, I'm not upset, I'm just worried that your number 1 pick is what I think. Miss Broly, Auto and Pal from Mitchells and Machines are perfect for each other. True. They could be a nice couple. Cameron, I have Wall-E on Blu-ray. I will watch it again at some point. Do so. Definitely do so. Kirst, how funny would it be if Mac in Talk got an Oscar if it has its own IMDb page? Unlikely, but it would be funny. Would be very funny. IMDb has a lot of pages for things that you wouldn't expect to have pages, like whales and dogs and people who don't even exist. So yeah, anything else people want to add about Auto before I reveal my number one pick? Listy, I honestly don't recall that much about Auto. I tend to zone out once the film moves onto the ship. Okay. Miss Crowley, number one, Thunderclap from The Good Dinosaur. I'm just making sure people have got a chance to say what they want about Auto before I move on to my number one. Anything? And what does everyone think my number one will be? What are your guesses? What do you think my number one could be? It might be obvious. So yeah, I think I might as well just reveal my number one. Because no one's got anything else to say about Auto. Okay, let's put the text away for Auto. Yes, it is. It is Syndrome from The Incredibles. It used to be Auto, but like I start to realize, yeah, Syndrome's a stronger character, really, when you think about it. Syndrome is a very iconic character. And many agree that he's the best baddie in Pixar's Rogues Gallery. I can totally see why he has that reputation. He's both a fun comedic supervillain who makes audiences laugh with his over-the-top sense of humor, and is a genuine threat to humankind because he has so much dangerous technology at his disposal. At the same time, director Brad Bird has stated that he's meant to be a sympathetic character. Despite how evil it can be, I can see what Brad means by that. Because Buddy is a product of poor adulting at the end of the day. Mr. Incredible had an opportunity to shape this talented kid into a potential hero, someone who could use his gadgets for good, but Bob's stubborn arrogance got in the way, and Buddy became Syndrome as a result. Under Syndrome's mask, there's this heartbroken kid who dreamed up of becoming a superhero, and has ended up resorting to a life of crime to live out his fantasy. There's something both embarrassingly pathetic and tragically sad about seeing him role-play superhero, because the superhero he could have been, that's gone now. And now we're just watching a self-entitled geek play pretend. So yeah, what does everyone think of Syndrome? I mean, Incrediboy! Here we go. Oh yes, I didn't get that villain when I first saw this film, but ever since fandoms became toxic, it became clear as day. Incredibles was way ahead of its time. It really was. It totally was. It really started to address the problem with self-entitled geeks, let's just say. Curse Monster, you sly dog, you got me monologuing. That's a great line. Warrior Eagle, he's cool. He is kind of cool in a way. He is kind of cool. He definitely owns his gadgets, and he has a lot of confidence. Even though he's a villain, he is a cool villain. And even though he's quite nerdy, he knows how. He's definitely read his comics, and he's definitely looked up to a lot of superheroes, and like taken all that energy and like inspired this very awesome kind of design for himself, and he's known how to implement all those gadgets into that design. Where am I in chat? Miss Pro Syndrome, a lot of people putting me on their Pixar list as number one. My number one is Terry from Soul, and she's just an antagonist, not a villain. Yeah, I do like Terry, but I feel like there are more memorable villains than Terry. Cameron, he's a really great villain. I love The Incredibles. It's my second favorite Pixar movie, and one of my favorite movies. It's a really mature movie, and some people out there are like him. They really are. I've met Syndromes before. Lisa Rimsey, again, he does have a point about his mission. Some people can fly naturally. Is it really evil to create a way for people to fly artificially? He just has bad motivations for why he's helping. Fame, acknowledgement, praise. Yeah. Nick, hey, my number one is your number one is my number one. Woo! We're number one twins. Cameron, Incredibles is a lot better than I remember. G. Crobat, his personality made me thought he was still a kid when I was a kid. Yes! Yeah, he really does still act like a kid. And I think Pixar does a really good job of writing that. And Jason Lee is perfect for playing that. Because he usually plays man-child kind of characters. So it works. It really works. Where am I in chat? I keep saying that. I'm sorry. Cameron, I'm not happy, Bob. Not happy. Evan, would you consider Syndrome to be pure evil? Just curious. He is technically pure evil, yes. Because of his intentions and what he does to people. What he does to... He kills superheroes at the end of the day. That's basically what Syndrome is, indeed, a self-entitled geek. He really is. Dude, I think we can all agree is also the most genocidal Pixar villain. One bad day turned him into hating and trying to kill any superheroes. Yes, he is the most genocidal, definitely. I mean, like, there are a lot of tyrannical kind of characters in the Pixar Rogues Gallery, but Syndrome is the one that actually actively goes out to kill, and you don't see that often with Pixar. Most Pixar deaths are characters being technically just punished, in a way. So yeah, good point. Rosette, he's actually brilliant, but doesn't fully think things through. Yes, that's what's kind of sad about his character, because he could have been this amazing, like, this amazing superhero who uses gadgets to save people. He could have been a popular superhero. He really could have, because, like I said, his design and his way he uses gadgets are very appealing. I can imagine lots of kids looking up to him because of his design and because of what he can do with his gadgets. So it is really sad that he's not a superhero, and he's channeled all of this talent and power into evil. Miss Broiler, my original favourite Pixar villain is Charles Muntz. We'll definitely get to everyone else's favourites. Cameron, he's voiced by Jason Lee, yep, like I said. Crew Guy, oh yeah, Syndrome does have a body count, and not a small one either. Yeah, we see how many people he's killed. That makes him an even better villain. It does, because it shows that Pixar was willing to kind of like push things a bit further, especially compared to what they usually did. Cursed. I think my favourite bit of him was when Mr. Incredible nearly tried to kill Mirage, and he plays to Bob's weakness and sadistically tortures his conscience into killing her. He's such a great villain. Yes. He can be quite disturbing. He can be quite creepy, even though for the most part he's quite a comedic character. Cameron, I'm going to watch Incredibles tonight. Thanks. Oh, I'm glad the stream got you to watch something. Can we get the $sign at the end of my previous post is the perfect example of two sensitive keys on my keyboard, by the way. It's right next to the enter key. Yikes. Evan, so is it possible for a sympathetic villain to be pure evil? It can be possible, yeah. It can be possible, but it's tricky, and I think Syndrome is a good way of doing it. Because there's like two characters there. There was the potential for what Syndrome could be, and who Syndrome is. If you have a pure evil character, and that's all there is to them, and you ask the audience to sympathize with them for no reason, it's not going to pay off. Hope that I explained that well. Sorry. Cameron, Syndrome is my favorite Pixar villain, as my favorite Pixar movie, Inside Out, doesn't have a villain. I think the closest to a villain in Inside Out is the clown. G-Crobat, do you think his death is the most gruesome or Hopper? Ooh, it's tough. It's really tough. But when you think... It kind of depends, because when you think about it, Hopper's death is... from our perspective, it's not that scary. If you were to see it from our angle, we're like, crunch. But then you've got Syndromes, and if we were to see it from our perspective, then it's like... So yeah, probably Syndrome's death. Do you go back? Oh yeah, I've just read that. Can we go? No capes! Oh yeah, one time, me and my friends did a read-through of The Incredibles, but we changed all the characters' voices. All of them. It was so silly. And I think I remember, who did I change? I played Dash as Forrest Gump just to make him slow, stuff like that. Um, Cameron, where's my super suit? Cursed, he's definitely at his funniest in the Jack Jock short where he's trying to pose as a babysitter and he's just trying to justify why he has an S on his costume. Yeah, he is very funny in the Jack Jack short. So yeah, those are my top 5 favourite Pixar villains. You all are now free to tell me which is your personal number 1 favourite Pixar villain. Not top 5, because I can't go through everyone's top 5s. But if you just let me know your personal number 1 favourite Pixar villain, let me know who it is and why you like them. Why they're the number 1. Computer Guy, Dash's Forrest Gump makes a lot of sense since the two of them are both good runners. Technically, it was a funny read through. It was a very funny read through. I think we played Lucius as Wario and then Honey as Waluigi. It was really funny. It was so silly. It was so damn silly. A lot of fun. We've done it. We've done lots. Me and my friends done a lot of script read-throughs. We did the Avengers before. I can do a Stan Lee impression. So for most of it, I was voicing like the extras as Stan Lee cameos. Like Stan Lee was every cameo. And the funniest one we did was like reveal Thanos, and I just did Stan Lee cameo. G Crobat, it's a tie between Hopper and Lotso for me. Do you want to tell me why? Why to be Hopper and why to be Lotso? Lister Rimzine, not sure, but I do really like Hopper. He's both sinister and funny, especially with his brother as a foil. Hopper, I was very close for putting Hopper in my top 5. I'd say I'd rank him at 6, probably. Mine show, Evan. Mine is probably Randall. Mine show 1998. My favorite Pixar villains are Syndrome, Underminer, and Randall. Do you want to let me know why? Cameron, Syndrome, love the design and how crazy he is. Good reasons. Cameron, I can hear football fans in the background. Okay, so, a little context. I live in a pub attic, and I don't like streaming for a whole hour in a boiling pub attic. What you're hearing outside are all the patrons at the pub garden. They are very noisy. I'm very sorry, but until the heat stops, I'm gonna have to leave the window open, and you'll hear a lot of drunk people outside. Evan, Randall because of his entertaining energy. Manager 98. I know Underminer only appears for a few minutes in total, but for me, he's a really fun villain. He is a fun villain, and he does make a really good impression. So much so that, like, you can tell that fans wanted to see more of him. Like, he only appears right at the end, but you're kind of like, ooh, who is this Underminer? I want to see him in action. And you can tell that Brad Bird paid attention to that when he made Incredibles 2. And I do know there's a video game where the Underminer's a villain as well. Nick, and Incredibles is my second favourite Pixar movie and my second favourite movie of all time. Syndrome is a big part of why that is. The potential of him being a hero, his understandable transformation, his philosophy of heroes not being truly super, his balance between being charmingly geeky and incredibly menacing, all of it is simply perfect. He's easily my favourite Pixar It's easily my favourite Pixar film as well as one of my favourite villains of all time, alongside my others being Thanos and Boba Fett. Very good reasons for enjoying Syndrome, yeah. Rosette. Lotso, he's terrifying in a very realistic way, which makes him even scarier than the traditional animated villain. I get what you mean, kinda. I think my favourite Pixar villain would be Syndrome too, for the same reasons as yours, and because he was very ahead of his time. He really was. Definitely was. I'm kind of curious how much influence Brad Bird took for Syndrome. Like, had he met any like fanboys like Buddy? I'd like to know. My show 99. Every time Randall gets beaten up by Boo, I burst out laughing. That is a funny scene. It's because the transformation's like dish 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 dish. Cursed. Waternoose is my favourite villain because he's another great twist villain. Waternoose came very, very close to this list. So, so close. I was really considering him. I think he's underrated. I really do. But there just happened to be 5 others that I enjoy more. When we first see Waternoose, he's already playing this pushy CEO trying to push his company to be the best it can be. He's just desperate in his attempts and constantly tries to justify his horrible actions, and that's why he's my favorite. Yes, because that's how a lot of CEOs act and behave. They go, a lot of particularly corrupt ones or over wealthy ones go down this path where they just forget about any sense of morals, and to compensate for that, they'll just build up a barricade where it's I can do this because I can do this because. So he's quite close to home. My favorite is Randall. Is actually another gator. Give me that shovel. Come here scene. This Remedy, does the Aussie shark count as a villain? Fisher Friends Chom. He kinda does. I see him more as an obstacle, but I can see why he's often ended up on villain lists. But yeah, I see him more as a set piece or an obstacle. But it's Bruce is probably the closest to Finding Nemo's villain. Computer Guy, Brad Bird is a very geeky filmmaker. He must have met fans like this during his life. Maybe. It's just that Incredibles came out. Incredibles was why he became famous. So I'm just thinking, how did he meet all these people before The Incredibles? G-Crab, I love how they made a grasshopper and teddy bear threatening, and that's the talent of Pixar, is that they can take these unlikely things and make them into threatening characters, and that takes skill, that takes talent. So yeah, anyone else want to tell me their number 1 favorite Pixar villain before I go? I'll be releasing an actual top 5 villains kind of video this week. Let's just say I've been marathoning a bunch of films that are going to help me to decide. I'm keeping it a secret for now, but it is a top 5 villains video. Good guy. Maybe it was inspired by reactions to Star Wars Phantom Menace. It released shortly before Incredibles entered production, didn't it? It could have been an influence. Yeah, that's a good point. G-Crab, what are your thoughts on Ernesto from Coco? He's alright. Doesn't really stand out to me, if I'm honest. I don't know. Just didn't really stick with me. He has a great design. He's a brilliant singer. But there's nothing really there that really stayed with me. He's not a bad villain, but I wouldn't say he's anything remarkable. Nick, I was using my phone for some reason. It's hard to not get words mixed up. Don't worry about it, Nick. Cameron, I need to watch Coco again at some point. I like that this stream is getting people to watch more Pixar films. That's pretty cool. So, anyway, right. I'm going to head off. Carry on this little marathon I'm doing for this surprise top 5 villains video I'm doing. I'll screw it. I'm going to tell you all. I'm too excited. I'm going to tell you all. My next video is top 5 Disney sequel villains. I'm watching all the Disney sequels that have original new villains, and I'm going to do a video on the top 5 I think are going to be the best. So yeah, look out for that. It should be up on either Thursday or Friday, that kind of time. So yeah, hope you're all well. Hope you all have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whatever time it is for you. Shh, shh, drunk football fans, shh. Right.